The biggest holy shit was last week, I think we made 13 or 12K in one day. And I was just like, whoa, like what? I was like, that's the most money.
Patrick's SAT prep business made $193,000 in a single month, all without ever having to chase parents, post in random Facebook groups, wait on referrals, or ever even have to lower prices. Now, just a year ago, Patrick was relying entirely on referrals, which made his business very inconsistent and unpredictable. Sometimes he would make 5K, sometimes 10K, sometimes 15, and then all the way back to 5K again the next month. And he even got burned by 2 separate marketing agencies and spent close to 20K on them without getting any real results back. And the only thing we did different is we hyper-focused on the content and we built a content system. So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how we helped him scale from 15 to 70K in the first 90 days, and then from 70K to 193K in the next 120 days from that. And by the way, if you want mine and my team's help building all of this out that I'll be talking about in this video, then there's a link in the description where you can book a call and we will do a full business audit on your tutoring business and show exactly how we'd help you scale it. So this is the complete breakdown on how he was able to scale from 5 to 15K months to, in 90 days, making 70K, and then from there in the next 120 days being able to scale to $193,000 in a single 30-day period. Now, I want you to understand that the systems behind the first revenue jump are completely different from the systems behind the second. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which stage your tutoring business is at right now and what you actually need to focus on next. So if we go to the beginning, again, he was stuck at 5 to 15K per month, and his revenue was largely depending on referrals and Facebook groups. That means he had very little control over the most important part of his business, which is client acquisition. Because know it or not, client acquisition dictates how much money your business makes, how much revenue, it dictates how many people you can hire, it dictates your whole financial plan for the next year. It's literally the most important part. And most tutoring business owners blame the inconsistent months on the industry, that tutoring is seasonal, or that ads will never be profitable, that parents won't pay premium prices. Patrick had these exact same beliefs because he was speaking and talking and getting clients from the exact same pool of people that you are. And in the past, he'd also spend $500 or $1,000 on ads and get nothing but broke, unqualified leads. And the problem was never the ads themselves. It was just the content behind them that wasn't dialed in. And the worst part was that he was doing absolutely everything himself.
I was the salesperson, I was doing the setting. So I was doing everything. And, it's just like I couldn't run my business. I was just pretty much just on Facebook Ads Manager and just on calls.
He even tried hiring 2 different separate marketing agencies, and that also didn't work out.
Before you guys, I went through 2 different marketing companies. And they promised me the world, right? at the end of the day, whenever I gave them feedback, I would get this whole like, oh, don't worry, we'll get there eventually. And, I would, for every company I would work for about 3 months with, because I was like, that's more than enough time in my opinion. And after 3 months, nothing happened. So then I'm like, okay, we have to move on.
And the problem was that he was focusing on the SAT, SSAT, ACT, ISE, and like 5 other exams at the exact same time. So what we did instead is we niched to one exam, the SAT, and we repositioned his whole offer into a premium offer, which attracted high-income parents and separated him from all of the other $30 to $60 an hour tutors. And the way we did that is we actually made his offer make sense. He was no longer promising them hours of tutoring, no longer talking about his strategy. He was talking about the result that they're gonna get by working with him. He was promising, he was showing them how they're gonna get a transformation, how they're gonna get from point A to point B where they want to be. This also allowed us to increase the price. He was able to charge anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 up front for his packages, because we understand that undercharging is gonna kill your whole business. If you charge 1.2K and then you pay your tutor $800 just to fulfill for the lessons, you effectively only have $400 left of margin. Now you have to run ads, you have to pay yourself something, you maybe have a sales team, you have a CRM to pay, There's a lot of costs that just add on top, and quickly you're just running a non-profit organization. And then once we set all of that up, we made a completely custom marketing plan specifically for his business. How the ad angles are going to be scripted, how the VSL is going to look like, how the sales process is going to look like. Again, everything needs to be in alignment, because if you just have good ads, but then you have no nurturing process, no content behind it, you don't have a good VSL, the sales process is out of whack, nothing works. That's why you can't just pay a lead gen agency and magically grow your business. Every single step till when they actually pay you needs to be in perfect alignment with each other. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
We talked about like the specific type of program that a lot of high school students want to get into, but it's very competitive. And they were like, why don't we just advertise to them? And I was like, that's kind of crazy. And then he's like, no, let's give it a shot. And so he did. And it just went crazy.
So once we had the plan and we had the offer, we basically had the fundamentals, we then focused on the content first lead gen system. So here we had two channels, the AI short form content and meta ads. So what we did here is AI faceless content paired with educational content. And what this does is it actually allows the ads to work. So let me explain. If you run ads, the ads have to be ran from a profile, right? The ad is like a post almost, and it has to be posted from a profile. The ad isn't just a standalone thing. It is always attached to a profile, whether it's on Facebook or on Instagram or anywhere else you run ads for that matter. That means that if you just run ads and you don't do any content and you don't get any views and you don't look like a real person, the ads don't work. Because at the end of the day, all the ad is you saying what you can do for somebody. But if your profile can't back that up, and you don't have any posts, you don't have a profile picture, and the profile's been dead for 20 years, nobody's gonna believe your statements that you put on the ads. That's why it is crucial that you run content. Now, the beauty here is that because AI does 80% of the lifting for him, he only has to film for 2 or 3 hours a month, and that's it. Yet we still get the effect of emulating a massive and credible brand, so that when somebody does see your ad and they click on your profile, you look like a legitimate business, and you first of all look like you genuinely exist and you're not just some bot. Now, the second function of content, beyond just making sure that you seem like a real person, is that it pre-sells them. Anyone who books says the exact same thing. I saw his videos. I saw what he can do for me. I saw that he knows what he's talking about. I saw his testimonials. So the content is constantly nurturing them and warming them up so that by the time they actually show up on the sales call, they're already ready to buy. And there's just a few logistical things that need to get out the way, and that's pretty much it. Now, on the meta ads side, we target specific pain points and we massively emphasize the actual creative behind it. Again, this needs to look professional. It needs to speak to the exact pain points that the parents have, exactly what the parents are thinking about when they think about the SAT exam, in this case, is what the ad needs to say. If you can communicate their exact thoughts that they have in their mind, that they may have never even expressed out loud, and they see that on the actual ad, they're gonna view you as the expert because you've just said the quiet part out loud. And they never even had to tell you what's wrong and how it feels, yet you just communicated it perfectly. And that instantly makes you look like the authority and like you know exactly what you're talking about. And then obviously we track absolutely everything. The cost per lead, cost per call, cost per acquisition, which videos produce actual clients, which ads work, which ads don't work, and everything in between that, so that every single day the system works better and better and better. So you don't just get 3 ads that eventually fatigue and then results go downhill. The results only ever improve because of all the tracking and because everything works in synergy. And I mean, you can even hear what Patrick has to say about the lead quality.
The lead quality is unbelievable. Like our show up rate is really, really high. Our close rate is actually pretty high based on, just because most of the people that show up are, they're serious because the message is clear. They know exactly what they're looking for.
So once we have all of the attention, we presented ourselves as the authority. People trust us. People know that we know what we're talking about. And people generally show interest, right? We need to be able to convert that interest into money. And the first step before getting into money is getting them to book an actual appointment. So here we do a full CRM build, and the CRM automatically follows up and nurtures people even further, even beyond the actual content. We have email sequences, SMS sequences, and all the fancy tech behind it. And the whole goal behind all of that is just to show them the content. Not everybody's on Instagram or Facebook 24/7 or on YouTube, so not everybody's gonna see a lot of your content, right? That's why we send them the videos in the emails, and we write the emails based on the videos. Meaning that they are basically forced to consume content. If they use any digital device ever, if they go to their cell phone, they get a text message containing a YouTube video, or they get a text message explaining our process. If they go on their laptop, they get an email with the exact same thing. If they go on YouTube, they get a video. And again, the whole intention behind this is to appear and emulate a big and established brand. Because if you think of a big and established brand like Adidas or Nike or whatever, you know that you see them everywhere. You see them at the gas station, you see them on TV, you see them on your phone, you see them on Instagram, you see them at the Super Bowl, you see them everywhere. So we're just trying to emulate that, yes, in fact, we are a big and established brand. And the best part is that you don't even have to be a big and established brand to achieve this effect, because you can just cheat it with posting a lot of content and spamming them on SMS and email. Now, on top of that, we also obviously create a dedicated page with an explainer video. This sets the premium frame, again, before the call happens. All of this is supposed to take place before the call happens, not after. We also place a trained appointment setter that calls every single lead, asks them questions, give them advice, warms them up, with the goal being that the first impression and the first human touch point is perfected, and that again, once they actually get on the call, they're ready to get started, and everything you need to do is work out the logistics. And with all of that in place, his calls went from roughly 5 a week to 30 plus sales calls booked a week, and his costs stabilized under $25 per lead. So then the last thing we need to do from here is we actually need to convert these sales calls into paying clients, into money. So what we did here is we made a completely custom sales script specifically for his offer that was, again, in alignment with the ads, with the landing page, with the VSL, with all of the content. Everything needs to speak the exact same language and have the exact same target. Otherwise, none of this works. We also placed a trained closer on his offer that allowed Patrick to no longer have to actually take the calls himself, because obviously that takes a lot of time, and the closer was able to dedicate basically full time into this role without having to deal with everything else that Patrick was dealing with as the actual business owner. Now, you have to understand that even though he was charging $3,000 to $5,000 up front, his close rate was hovering between 40 and 50% on these sales calls. Again, this is cold traffic. People who've never before heard of Patrick. This is not referrals. This is not a Facebook groups where people know about you for 5 months and then finally decide to work with you. No, this is, we ran ads and we ran content, and we got complete strangers to convert and pay him $3,000 to $5,000 up front. And trust me, there is a lot more complete strangers out there than people who currently know you, because there's probably like 30 people who know you tops. So it's not really scalable. Versus if you can actually convert complete strangers, there is hundreds of thousands of people. And that is exactly how you scale the tutoring business. And if Patrick's initial situation hits anywhere close to home and feels like anything you're dealing with right now, then again, there's a link in the description of this video where you can book a call with my team, and we'll give you a completely custom game plan how to grow your business.
The way that I was running my company at 12K is very different from the way it has to run at 70K. So we're going through growing pains, but it's always, it's a good problem to have.
So here's how we then got him from 70K a month to 193. Now you have to understand that the systems here are completely different to the systems right over here, because this is almost a 3x in revenue from 70K to 193. So the first big move was hiring. Obviously, once you go from 15K to 70K, you have a lot more students, right? This should go without saying. So what you need to do is you need to hire people to actually be able to teach all of these students. And while Patrick was hiring tutors and making sure that he can handle all of this new demand that we were bringing in, We were running in-depth data analysis on the previous 3 months of everything we did that was successful and everything we did that wasn't successful. And this is why he was able to grow so quickly, so fast, and why he was able to keep growing for such a long time. Because we actually looked at what's working and what isn't working, and we drew conclusions from that, and we built a plan on how to actually get there. Most people just get from 15K to 70K and they're happy, and that's it. Great, I can now enjoy life, I can do whatever I want, and that's fair enough. But that's not what we wanted, that's not what Patrick wanted. We wanted to go beyond that, beyond 100K, beyond 150K. So we then started even more intense creative testing and retargeting ads. Because you have to understand that roughly 10K of ad spend was already sitting in the pipeline. That 10K being from the previous 3 months. We already had the leads, we had interested people, we just needed to convert them. So what we did is we showed testimonials and social proof to every single person that opted into his funnel ever. And that made sure that we're squeezing a lot more juice from the initial ad spend that we've already paid for. And we also put in place the complete AI content system. We were able to completely remove Patrick from ideation, from scripting, from filming, from editing, and even from uploading. He virtually didn't have to lift a finger and maybe had 1 or 2 hours of actual work with this whole system per month, and that's it. What we did is, again, we focused on omnipresence. That's IG, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, long form content, Facebook groups, short form content. Again, we are emulating a big and established brand that you see everywhere and anywhere that you look. This again increases authority, makes them seem more trustworthy, and just makes people more likely to buy. So here's how this whole ecosystem works. We have top of funnel ads that capture all of this attention. Then the prospects automatically gets retargeted with all of the content, meaning the short form content on IG, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. He also starts seeing Patrick on YouTube, long form content, because that's just how these algorithms work. They know when you're interested in a particular thing and they're just gonna start showing you more of it. So the retargeting here happens completely automatically. We then have CTAs in the long form and in the short form content for the Facebook groups, so that parents that aren't necessarily ready to buy just yet go from the short form content and from the long form content into the Facebook groups. There they get nurtured even further. They see more proof, they see more free value, and then they get hit with the hard retargeting. So these are retargeting ads that specifically retarget all of the engagers of the long form content, of the short form content, of the initial top of funnel ads that got them in the first place. And we basically just want to spam these people with proof and with the fact that we are the best in the game. And then eventually people can't take it anymore and they start falling for the CTAs. They start opting in, whether they click on the actual ad and opt in there, whether they comment on a video, and then from there, they either get rerouted to the VSL, they watch the VSL, they book a call directly, or the setter gets in touch with them and the setter books them in manually, right? If they decide to message us on any social media platform that basically exists ever. And the best thing about all of this is that they just can't escape us. As soon as they see the top of funnel ads, all of this activates, and after this activates, all of this activates. And then eventually they're either gonna comment or they're gonna message us or they're gonna book a call directly. And once we actually get them to a call and the sales process is aligned with everything that we've been saying up until this point, that is exactly how you scale from 70 to 100K a month, and from 100 to 180, and then from there to $193,000 in a single month on an 18x ROAS in the front end. So now Patrick is consistently hitting above 100K a month, even on the down months, even on the months that you're not getting any students. Patrick is still in fact above 100K a month. He's now the authority, the leading authority in the SAT niche. He has an 18x ROAS on his front-end ads, not even counting all of the back-end sales he does. He has complete lead nurturing systems, a trained appointment setter and sales rep, finally has control over his time and finances, and is finally confident in his and his business's future with a consistent and predictable flow of new students, all without relying on referrals. Referrals at this point are just a nice bonus to him, but even if there were none, his business would still thrive. So if you're at 5 to 15K per month right now with your test prep or tutoring business, you most likely have an offer problem, or you're not running ads in the first place. But if you are running ads and you're still at that low revenue, it is most likely because you're just selling something that people don't really want, in which case you need to restructure your offer. But if you're at 20 to 50K already, you probably have some sort of system. I would hope at least that you're not relying on referrals, but the system just isn't dialed in already. You maybe run ads, but that's about it. You don't have any content, you don't have any nurturing, or maybe you don't run ads and you just do content, and then there's no fuel behind the actual fire. So you're just getting some clients in with content, a video goes viral, you get some more clients, and then content dries down, you get way less clients. What you need at this stage is both ads and content and a full nurturing system, and the whole thing needs to work together. One needs to feed the other. That's the only way this works, and that's the only way you scale past 50K a month. And Patrick isn't special. He just committed to the process, and the content did the heavy lifting for him. So if you're running a tutoring business right now and you're still dealing with unpredictable, uncontrollable, and inconsistent revenue months, and you just don't know what's really going on and why it isn't working, then again, there's a link in the description of this video where you can book a call with my team. We will go over exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it in terms of getting you to the next level and being able to actually scale the business predictably for the first time ever.